Hi there, my name is Brandon Buffard, and if you're watching this video, then this means you're here to see my urban design presentation. So let's hop right into it. For those of you who aren't familiar, this will be a proposal for the teardown and reconstruction of lot number 611 on Atlantic Street in Vancouver's Strathcona neighborhood. Currently standing on the lot is an outdated single-family home in desperate need of replacement to match the character of the surrounding neighborhood. Before jumping right into the design, I thought it'd be important to mention some site information. The lot sits in an RT3 residential zone. The site itself faces onto Atlantic Street with the rear yard backing onto a laneway. Like the majority of its neighbors, the lot is long and narrow. It has a width of 25 feet and depth of 115 feet, enveloping an area of 2,875 square feet. The zoning allows for a 45% maximum of site coverage, which means approximately 1,300 square feet to build the home. Porches and patios can be excluded from this number so long as they are less than 8% of the total floor area. Now, with some of the technical out of the way, we can look at how I came to the conclusion of turning this old, out-of-character home to this new design, focusing on complementing the surrounding neighborhood's character with a touch of revitalization. For context, it's important to note the surroundings of Strathcona. Strathcona has a reputation as Vancouver's oldest residential neighborhood. Throughout the area, it's common to see many of the original Edwardian and Victorian style homes, whether looking at the gable roofs, bay windows, or front porches with extended overhangs. It's easy to see that although the homes have their unique accents, they manage to complement with one another and serve as a reminder to the area's historic past. It's also important to note the streets are lined with many old trees and multi-level single-family homes. It instills a feeling of comfort and family. Many residents of the Strathcona area are also familiar with the term "true colors," referring to keeping the area's historic quirks and character alive throughout the onset development of this quiet neighborhood and surrounding area. Taking a closer look at the site inventory, we could see wind flows from most directions. A benefit to the properties being built close together was the mitigation of the winds, however it left a need for privacy. It was also important to note majority of the sunlight came from the front of the property, while the current rear yard is mostly covered in old concrete backing onto the shared laneway. Taking these things into consideration, I thought of some possible solutions. I wanted to remove the old concrete from the backyard and enclose it from the laneway in order to add more privacy and include a green space to turn an old and abused flat top to a comforting escape. Also, seeing a majority of the sun came from the front of the house, I thought the addition of a front porch and bay window would serve to let more natural light into the home. It would also create a welcoming entrance and work in unison with the surrounding homes. There were also a few old shrubs and dilapidated fences that are in desperate need of replacement. Moving forward with my concept sketches, I really tried to take some of these points into consideration. I thought it was imperative to include a porch like the neighboring properties and allow plenty of natural light into the front of the home with front-facing windows. I really enjoyed the idea of a bay window and I experimented with the shape of the homes and roofs, but I didn't want to stray too far from that recognizable Strathcona style. Eventually, I came to realize that given the property's narrow dimensions, the home itself would have to be rather tall and linear to some degree. I came to settle with a more Victorian style, but I wanted to keep it fresh with some more modern finishes, which I'll talk about more later. Moving forward with the brainstorming process, I started with my bubble floor plans. I wanted to create a layout that made sense of the space and would work as a family home. I wanted the main floor to work as a hub with many of the rooms flowing into one another and offering most of your typical family commodities. I was also debating possible layouts of the home and where to place bedrooms, but in the end I decided to keep them separated from the main floor and keep it as more of a communal level of the house. Given that I wanted to have a bay window, I also wanted to have a room where it could get proper use, and I thought it would be most fitting in the master bedroom. Given these reasons, I thought my first or third option made the most sense and put it into a rough plan. On paper, I thought it was starting to look good. With the communal sense, I wanted an open kitchen and island to serve as a gathering place. I also thought it would be important to include a mudroom in the rear end, seeing as the backyard could serve as parking through the laneway. In the end, I eventually scrapped the mudroom given limitations in floor area and the fact that I wanted at least 3 bedrooms. Another thing to note is that at this point it wasn't to scale. The property was more narrow than I thought, so I had to rework some of the shape to ensure it didn't feel too crowded. and there was space for everyone to move. For this reason, I moved the fireplace mantle into the living room and removed the French doors. I liked the relevance that they offered and the sense of character and heritage, but in the end it wouldn't work given the limitations. At this point in time, now with the rough shape of my house, I created a site plan in more detail. Once again, I thought a second entry would be important and the possibility of having a rear garage or a point of entry from the laneway. I also had to reduce the width of the home to 19 feet in order to have space for a wider east setback. This would allow an accessible path of travel from the front to the backyard. I also knew I definitely wanted to have a front porch, and given how rare it is to live in Vancouver with a backyard nowadays, I wanted to make the most of it. I wanted grass, a patio, and an area where you can live and relax without having to worry about your neighbors peering at you, hence the hedges acting as a privacy barrier. All of this played a role in my final floor plan. I also realized I had to include a basement plan in order to fit everything, like laundry and a third bedroom. In the end, the home was 2.5 stories, complying to the zoning code. The basement and main floor plan share a similar footprint, however, I had to reduce the size of the upper floor area to make sure I wasn't exceeding any floor area limits. I also thought reducing the upper floor versus the basement added more shape and character to the home instead of it being a rectangular box. Once everything was to scale, I also realized I couldn't fit all three bedrooms upstairs, so I tucked one away downstairs in the basement. The master suite of the home included the bay window as intended, and it also incorporated a small walk-in closet and ensuite. In regards to the main floor plan, many homes nowadays use the idea of the open floor concept. I did want to achieve this for the sake of friends and family being interconnected when in the home, but I also thought it was important to keep some separation throughout. Being in an eclectic neighborhood such as Strathcona, I feel many people tend to avoid the typical suburban norm. Having the connection between dining and living room served as a spot for entertainment, but having a wall down the center dividing the kitchen gave more to explore in the home rather than just one large room with separate areas. I also realized I couldn't fit the back entry given the need for countertop space, so I put it on the east side of the home. Finally, moving into the basement, I found space for everything I couldn't fit upstairs, and it worked. Once I put in storage, an extra bathroom, laundry, and the third bedroom I wanted to include, I still had a large area available, so I made it a rec room for entertainment. In the end, I was really happy with the final product. I thought the home made sense, it had its own sense of charm, and it included most necessities any family would need. Looking at the sections of my home, you can really get a sense of how narrow the house has to be. As mentioned before, I thought that having the wall running throughout the main floor plan added more to explore in the house, and I feel like the sections show that off well. The ceilings throughout the home are 8 feet high on each floor. Here you can see that my basement is partially submerged underground, but still has plenty of room for the addition of windows to allow natural light. That being said, when I had created my floor plan, I also included a bay window on every floor, running the entire length of the home. However, I realized that once I included my front porch, it would block any access for a window on the front facing side of the home for the basement, as you'll see moving ahead to my building elevations. With the building elevations, you get a sense of the aesthetic for the exterior. I thought it would match the similar style of the neighboring houses, using the wood siding and front porches. However, I'd modernize it with the slate gray color, charcoal gray finishes, and black powder coated metal railings versus the traditional wood made you'd see on many of the older homes in Vancouver. The siding also looks similar to wood panel, however I intended to use hardy board for lower maintenance and longevity. As mentioned before, there's only a bay window on the main floor and upper floor as seen here, but in the end I think it was for the best in order to have room for the full front porch at the entrance. In the end, this is the final product of my designed home for lot 611 on Atlantic Street. I believe that the home succeeds in finding balance between traditional and modern. It encompasses many of the features that make the heritage homes throughout Vancouver so appealing while working out many of the kinks. In a neighborhood as unique and historic as Strathcona, this home pays tribute to the past while still accommodating to the needs of the future. I hope you enjoyed this proposal and thank you very much for watching.